everybody. I'm Lisa Brennan.
And I'm Justin Trice.
Welcome to Crime of the Arts, a true crime podcast that peeks behind the curtain to shine a light on the dark and untold truths of the creative arts.
From film set mysteries to celebrity murders and art heists, these two theater nerds will usher you into the unknown. This
week, I'm going to tell you about Kattpocalypse Now, the implosion of Katt Williams.
Oh, shit. I fucking love Katt Williams, so I can't wait to hear this story, folks.
Yeah, this dude is out of his fucking bird.
He is out of his mind, but he's a funny motherfucker. I can't wait to hear this story. And this week, I'm going to be talking to you about Don King. For those of you that don't know who Don King is,
I just see his hair.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, he Treasure Troll hair was clearly inspired off of Don King, but this man was just a flamboyant style, larger than life, always had the answer for everything. He tried to talk his way out of a lot of things. He, at one point in time, he had a casino, but beyond that, the world knows him as a boxing promoter. He helped promote some of the biggest fights you've ever seen, like the Rumble in the Jungle fight between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. Back in 74, the Thriller in Manila fight between Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali. And at one point in time, some of you may know him as Mike Tyson's manager. And that's where that's where things went fucking crazy for Mike. But yeah, we're gonna get into some subjects today because everybody knows Don King's style and how slimy of a businessman he could be potentially. But I'm betting there's a couple things people never realized about this man and some stuff that he's gotten away with. So we're going to cover that today for you guys.
Sweet.
And girls. Yeah. Let's take it off from the top. Don King was born on August 20th, 1931 in Cleveland, Ohio, where he spent his childhood and graduated high school from, basically. Also, side note, whenever I think of Don King, I always think of him and his crazy quotes like, only in America. Like he is always...
He's damn old. 1931.
Yeah, 1931.
A long damn time ago.
Yep. And at one point when he was still growing up in Cleveland, he actually considered being a lawyer, which is pretty ironic considering some of the things he ended up doing as an adult. But
isn't it always?
I can't picture him as a lawyer. And if he was, that would have been some Better Call Saul shit. I'm just throwing that out there.
No doubt.
He considered that at one point in time. And after graduating high school, he started running a bookmaking operation to help pay for his college education and quickly became one of the most prominent racketeers in the city of Cleveland, basically.
Perfect. So I expect nothing else.
Exactly. That part we all expected. It was so lucrative that he decided to drop out of the university he was attending at the time to focus solely on basically his shadier business ventures, obviously. As some of you know, he ventured into the world of boxing within one of the next chapters of his life. In 1974, he was able to successfully convince Muhammad Ali to participate in a charity boxing match for a local hospital in Cleveland with some assistance from a famous singer, Lloyd Pierce. Encouraged by his early success and the support of Ali to continue down this path, he decided to go all in on becoming a boxing promoter and quickly got started working on negotiating a boxing match between Ali and George Foreman that same year, popularly known as the Rumble in the Jungle. To help make everything work, he had to reach out to the dictator of Zaire, now known as the Democratic Republic of Congo. This man was just so bold and he was just such a hustler. You met with a dictator to discuss setting up this fight in their fucking country.
Zero fucks.
Zero fucks, folks. Zero fucks. So he reached out to him so that he could assist in financing the entire spectacle from the country's treasury, obviously, which included paying each of the fighters at the time $5 million.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was a lot back then. In exchange for hosting the event, obviously, in the Central African country and generating some positive exposure for their nation. This match was televised as a pay-per-view and was enormous. It was a huge fucking success from a rating perspective, at least, which ultimately helped jumpstart King's career in the boxing industry. As a follow-up to the Rumble in the Jungle, he was able to promote 7 other title matches for Ali, including another wildly international one between Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali in 1975, known as the Thriller in Manila. He was also able to promote other big matches for different prominent boxers over the years, including Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Evander Holyfield.
These are the kings.
Yes, the echelons within heavyweight class, and even Leon Spinks, to just name a few of them. Outside of his career promoting boxing, he had even helped promote the concerts for the Jackson 5's Victory Tour in 1984. What? Don King did a lot of shit, folks. It was really, it was crazy. But although he became a prominent figure in the boxing world, his name was always associated with controversy within the industry over the years. Mm-hmm. He was known throughout his career to have multiple different litigation cases against various boxers, such as Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, even Mike Tyson. And the majority of these cases were about him not paying his fighters for their fights.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Does it surprise anyone? No.
Nope.
However, he had already, excuse me, he was also investigated in 1992 for allegedly being involved in organized crime and being connected to an infamous mobster, John Gotti, at the time. Him and John Gotti were super close. However, he had already been involved in more severe criminal activities prior to his career in the boxing industry, which included the murders of 2 different people on 2 separate occasions in his past.
What?
This is what we're going to get into, folks. This is where my story is coming from. Again, I told you guys back in the day, he was running his own racketeer business. He was doing bookkeeping. He was doing casino shit. We're going to talk about that. The first, and I say first, of the 2 murders, the first one occurred in 1954 when he had shot a man named Hillary Brown in the back. Yes, the man's name was Hillary Brown in the back, and killed him after he found out that he was stealing from one of his illegal bookkeeping establishments one night. When he appeared in court, he argued that he was just practicing self-defense during the entire ordeal and was well within his rights when he killed this man. Again, for those of you that know Don King,
good Lord,
that man will try to talk himself out of a fucking paper bag.
Right. Sweet Jesus.
He did it back then. Even back then, he did it.
He probably did that shit when he was 5 years old to get out of trouble. I mean, he just always was like that.
The judge actually agreed with him. Some speculate maybe the judge was paid under the table. Would not be fucking surprised. Again, right? This man was born and raised in Cleveland, grew up in Cleveland. He knew those streets in and out, and he was running all of those businesses illegally there. The judge agreed and determined that it was a justifiable homicide because the man was attempting to rob King of his money that night. Ironically, the gambling house that the victim was robbing was illegally operated. So
again, you've done the thing to me where we have like this character of a person.
Yep.
And I just imagine them being little kids, just looking exactly like that. Did you ever see the documentary about called like ball something? It's a baseball documentary about the drugs that A-Rod was doing and the doctor who was giving them.
I didn't see that one, but I've seen clips of it. I've heard of that one.
Yes, but what it is completely portrayed by little boys as A-Rod and the doctor and like all these things. And that's exactly how I picture all of these stories. Yeah. So way to go for the cops for digging into an illegal operation, but then somehow giving that illegal operation rights.
Exactly.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Like you're illegally set up there.
Now,
yeah.
Did you say was the guy robbing his own money back from the bookie? Is that the concept?
Well, they didn't say why he was robbing the money, but it's clearly speculated he might have been robbing his own money back.
He lost it. He was bitter about it.
Yeah, they lost it or they took more than they were supposed to, or maybe he was owed that and they didn't give it to him because it's an illegal place anyway.
How did he kill him? He shot him in the back.
Shot him in the back.
What a bitch. What a bitch move.
Technically, again, you shot him in the back. The cops are saying it's self-defense during the entire ordeal. I don't consider that self-defense because you shot him in the back. So it sounds like he was already off your property to me. But because you're very well established here, you get away with that.
I mean, that's exactly how self-defense doesn't work when someone has their back to you. Ridiculous.
Yeah. And again, that just blows my mind. The cops, they went in favor of Don King. Like I said, maybe he paid them under the table.
I'm sure.
I have no doubts. But despite the fact that he was able to get away with the first murder, I said first murder before, there's two of them.
Mm-hmm.
He was charged with second-degree murder 13 years later when he brutally stomped one of his employees named Sam Garrett to death because he apparently owed King $600.
Stomped him to death with his what?
He publicly whooped this man's ass and stomped him to death publicly in front of an entire crowd.
Oh my fucking God.
On the steps of this establishment.
What? Justin?
Everyone saw. This is what I'm getting at. Like, Don King.
He's fearless. He feels untouchable.
He's clearly somehow well connected. To this day, Sam Garrett's family estate, like, all of them they continue to try to work on this and bring it more to light. But yeah.
Oh my God.
This man, Don King, was like, you owed me money. Want my fucking money.
Public murdering for $600.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was seen repeatedly kicking the man's head in on the street and even hitting him with a .38 caliber pistol several times before he was pulled away by law enforcement officials.
It's making me nauseous. Pulled away by the cops.
Yeah, he was pulled away by the cops.
So the cops watched him murder this person.
I don't know if they watched or they just got there halfway through the ass whooping.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure they saw at least one punch to the kick to the head or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, you can't say it wasn't you or it was self-defense, right? What's your defense in that kind of a scenario?
It was around several fucking people.
Oh my God. That made me nauseous.
Listen, when I first found out, I was like, this man.
Jesus.
So the victim would go on to die 5 days later in the hospital. Although King was originally convicted of second-degree murder at the time of the crime, you can guess, the charge was eventually reduced to voluntary manslaughter.
Holy shit.
He ended up only spending just 3 years and 11 months in prison for killing another man, publicly, mind you.
My God, that's ridiculous.
Like, you killed the first man and you got away with the BS of self-defense, which we know it's not self-defense. You fucking blatantly killed this man in public. Like, and now, yeah.
And the fucking audacity of you. Like, he's such a public figure. He always makes himself very known wherever he is.
Yeah.
He likes to be in the fucking limelight. Everything he does is theatrical all on its own. He's just got to be present and he's got, he's putting on a show.
But now it makes so much more sense to me because, seeing him as a kid as this boxing promoter and he's just always bigger and larger than life. I mean, at this point, again, he had already killed 2 people and he basically got away with it both times.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I guess I'd be over the top too. Where do you go from that?
I guess. Wow. You just have a God complex? I don't know. Like, where do you get off continuing to do things like this?
It just, so it blows my mind. And you can all guess it was after prison that he started scheming, what can I do? And that's when he became the boxing promoter.
I wonder if he did any of that stuff in prison for the guys, like probably like Danny Trejo's kind of scenario. I feel like that happens in a lot of places.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was working that, no doubt. After he had already started to rise to fame as a boxing promoter in the years following his release from prison, he was pardoned.
Pardoned for the murder?
For his crimes by the Ohio governor at the time,
the fuck up.
Jim Rhodes, in 1983. He was able to get support from some of his famous friends, including Coretta Scott King and Jesse Jackson, who wrote letters to the governor on his behalf to help him get pardoned. He's such a salesman. I don't know what he was selling them on.
Oh
he could have really continued to sell them on that story. Like, it was self-defense the first time. And the second time, he could have lied and said that man assaulted me. He basically owned a good portion of that city, if you will. Like, if you can whoop a man's ass in broad daylight in front of people, clearly no one's going to say anything to you. I hate it because it goes back to the Trump thing when Trump was like, I could shoot someone on this street now and blah, blah, blah. It's that kind of power and influence. And
Is
it's
it
just
power?
Oh,
arrogance.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
man.
Is just
that Trump thing really My head could have blown off.
Well, I'm going to make your head might blow right now. You might explode.
No.
You're probably going to get more sick. Years later, folks, this is not a joke, not an exaggeration, not sarcasm. You are not in the Twilight Zone. The city of Cleveland decided to honor King by naming a street after him. However, the city council decided to name the street where he had stomped Sam Garrett to death after him, which some people found to be very disturbing.
You think?
And by some people, I think every fucking body. You fucking killed this man publicly and we're naming the fucking street.
Could you imagine being his family?
Exactly.
I would rip that sign down every fucking time they put one back up. Yo, get out of here. I mean, how many fucking streets exist that you could have named after him? Why was it that one?
Why would you have done it that one? And again, I feel like he had full control of that because that's some weird flex shit right there.
Fucked up. You're right. It is some weird flex shit.
Oh my God. So, yeah. Like,
you're right. That made me more mad and more nauseous.
Yeah. Now, there's been some theories thrown out there claiming that King used some of his influence, you think, in the criminal underworld and political sphere to help ensure that he did not serve out any lengthy prison sentences for the crimes that he had committed, which could explain why he was able to serve a minimal amount of time for those crimes. Now, for both of the murders he was responsible for, he spent less than 4 years in prison, and he was able to get them reduced. The second one from second-degree murder charge, which could have put him away for life. Like, look at that. So you reduced it to voluntary manslaughter just so he didn't have a potential to face life. Like, it's bullshit. And people in this country have done less. Yeah.
That system is just fucked, isn't it? There's multiple witnesses and he gets the charge dropped to a lower charge. And then there's people who didn't even commit crimes who are in fucking prison.
That are in prison
for
now.
30 years.
Yep.
Like that, the guy from Girls Gone Wild.
Girls Gone Wild, yes.
That poor schmo is in jail for like 30 years for making him look like an idiot in his own house.
Yeah.
And he gets this. And he took an actual person's life from the planet by excessive force with his foot.
Yeah.
It's insane. That's insane. I hate everything.
I warned you. Furthermore, he was able to run his illegal gambling operations for many years without much of it being made public during the time, too. So, which has led some to believe that he had some powerful friends looking out for him. After all, the FBI did conduct a sting operation to try and catch him in the act of doing criminal activities and maybe even potentially provide them with intel on other individuals in the organized crime world. Because that's the thing. How do you avoid FBI sting? Like, how do you avoid all of this? Like, they try to do a sting on you. They didn't capture you magically. We all know you're doing this shit.
How has nobody gotten this fucker on some IRS charges?
Listen.
Is he dead yet? Is there still time?
you forget again. His thing always started in bookkeeping, so he clearly knows how to cook books and everything else. I don't think we're gonna catch him on that.
Damn.
The best we could wish for is maybe he'll end up with dementia or something and start blurting out his crimes. I don't know.
I don't think that they'll take them as fact if he's got dementia.
I don't think so.
Hopefully somebody will just write it down so we all know, just to know.
And you would think even after like the Mike Tyson stuff, because all of them, Mike Tyson, Holyfield, all of them did the allegations like, yo, you were skipped. They found out. It wasn't until years later where they were like outside of their prime of boxing where they realized like this motherfucker was siphoning their money. And that's a whole thing in itself that I could basically cover another day. But like he's always done salacious shit. Like he's just a fucking horrible person.
Horrible.
But looking back at his career in entertainment as a whole, it's fair to say that Don King's legacy will always be tied back to some of the shady things that he has done over the years.
It's all he's ever been known for.
That's all he's ever been known for, yeah.
His entire reputation.
Both in and outside of the sport of boxing, basically.
Yeah.
Even though he's arguably one of the most notable figures in the industry who is not actually a boxer, many of the people that he's worked with in the sport have felt that he's cheated them, like we were just talking about now. He's cheated them out of money and he's made them some promises that he never delivered on.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of boxing, he was already involved in illegal activities even before he decided to become a promoter, as seen by the murder cases and the gambling houses that I brought up to you. So despite all of this, he was still inducted into the Gaming Hall of Fame in 2008.
Shut up.
And he has lived out most of his life without having to serve any major prison time for his crimes.
Shit.
Besides a few years that I told you he was in jail.
Which is nothing in the grand scheme of things.
I don't even know how to wrap this up. For the record, we can edit this line out, but obviously we should probably just title this Don King Only in America. That's what we should call this.
Okay, done.
All I can say
you're right. You're right, though. Only in America can something like that fucking happen.
And every time, because, you know, I used to just think that was his saying. I never really understood. But now I really do understand. Like, this motherfucker knew firsthand, only in America. Like, every time he's saying it, it's like, I killed 2 people. Here I am making money all over again. Yep. Only in America. Like,
yep.
Fuck.
That's exactly what he means. Yep. Smoke coming out of my ears.
When someone is known, I guess, for doing illegal criminal activities in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will do it again, but there's always a possibility that they may do it again if they know they can avoid the consequences. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, people who have achieved a certain level of fame could potentially be able to know the right people and have the right connections to allow them to get away with things that normal people might not necessarily be able to get away with.
Right.
Even if they've been known to commit criminal activities in the past, they may still be able to avoid the repercussions if they're able to get the support from the right kinds of individuals.
Clearly.
This is exactly why it's important to always consider all possibilities and details behind the crimes of our favorite entertainers, especially those who are able to successfully get away with them repeatedly. And again, I don't support this. I don't condone this. Don't do crime, folks. I just wanted to bring to light, again, some of the slimiest people you know. You thought they were slimy for one particular reason, just because of their attitude and their type of being. But clearly some of them are slimier because they lived that life before all of this, did some really fucked up shit.
Slime of a different color.
Yeah,
we got lots of different slime going on.
The same. And nobody ever talks about that street. I mean, again, that person's family is.
I cannot get over the street. I can't. That's something I cannot get over.
Yep.
That's crazy. Someone should have named the street after the guy that he killed, not him, you know?
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you the story about Kattpocalypse now. The implosion of Katt Williams. I have always enjoyed Katt Williams.
I'm a Katt Williams fan.
So Katt Williams' real name is Micah Williams. He was born September 2nd, 1971. And for those of you who don't know who that is, he is an American stand-up comedian and actor. He played Money Mike in Friday After Next, and he had a stint on Wildin' Out, and he played Bobby Shaw on My Wife and Kids. So, first of all, I absolutely loved him on Wildin' Out. Wildin' Out was the first place I saw him, I think. And that's when he had his hair like all permed and long. And
that's the only way I know him. Well, I know him from Friday After Next, but yeah, he always had that permed hair and that high pitch accent.
Shiny hair.
Yeah.
And My Wife and Kids is like one of the most incredible shows. I feel like it's super underrated.
It's very underrated. I never watched it in real time. I always watched it now in reruns. And I remember that episode. Him and Mike had the reunion. He was the breakdancer. He was part of the dance crew.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen every single episode of that show. Mike and I used to watch it like every night. It was on TV. We watched it. And Wayne's is so underrated. I don't even know how. And now his son was on New Girl.
Yeah, Damon Wayans Jr.
Very similar comedy.
And they look alike.
They do look alike. And so do you remember that show? And when he'd be talking to his kids and they'd be like, Dad, can we have money? He'd be like, no.
Let me think. No.
No. That like occurs in my house daily.
Do you do? That's funny.
So anyway, Katt Williams' stand-up routine is great. And usually it's centered around him making fun of himself. He talks a lot about his own life and his personal run-ins with the police. And life emulates art, right? So I didn't know that it was this crazy, but I am going to go through it's like a decade's worth of insanity.
It's definitely a decade. He was on some self-destructive shit. Because again, I loved him. I had followed him and what he was going through. And
it's nuts.
Yeah.
So he started performing comedy in his Cincinnati neighborhood of Avondale. And he honed his comedic delivery by performing his routine in clubs nationwide from Oklahoma to Oakland. And in 1999, he had become an established comic and appeared on the stage of the likes of the Improv, the Comedy Club, the Ice House, and the Hollywood Park Casino. Most notably, he appeared in BET's Comic View as Katt Williams. And he starred in his first comedy special in 2006 entitled Katt Williams, Let a Play.
Yes.
And his second stand-up and first HBO special was in 2006, and it was The Pimp Chronicles Part 1. And in 2007, he was offered a movie and stand-up, which he entitled American Hustle. I did not see that. Did you see it?
It was all right.
All right. The film had critical success and established Williams as a mainstream comedian. In 2008, he released his second HBO comedy special entitled It's Pimpin' Pimpin'.
Oh my God, I hear that in my head. It's Pimpin'. Yeah. This is Katt Williams here.
That is very good. That is good.
And I remember him on Boondocks as a pimp named Slickback. I don't know if you want. Yes, but Katt Williams cracks me the fuck up. I'm sorry.
So his second HBO special included more political stand-up, and he kept busy releasing DVDs and touring, and he had a comedy tour that was named the best of 2008 by Billboard. Everyone cares about what Billboard rates things. It's so crazy to me. So in 2012, after a 4-year hiatus, he returned to stand-up in his third HBO comedy entitled Kattpocalypse. Let's get into some of the insanity that ensued.
Oh boy.
I feel like he was foreshadowing his life to come when he named his last stand-up in 2008 Kattpocalypse.
Oh, definitely. Shit's about to go down.
It sure fucking is. That is so good, Justin. You're nailing it. If I just close my eyes. December 3rd, 2012, Williams announced the end of his stand-up comedy career a day after a bizarre incident in a bar in Seattle, Washington that landed him in jail. And I'll get more into that, I promise. But just 3 days later, he announced he was coming back out of retirement, and he continued to tour, and he still put on HBO's specials and Netflix specials each year, and he even released one this year. I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, it came out the beginning of this year. It was a little dated for me. I was just happy to see him coming back, though.
Me too. I watched it. It wasn't hilarious like some of his other stuff. He's definitely a little strung out.
Yeah.
He's been in and out of the spotlight for years, and much of that has to do with the strange shit he keeps finding himself in. Mm-hmm. It's bizarre. And when I was doing the research, I was cracking up. The way that I imagined some of these situations must have looked, if I could have been a fly on the wall, I would have any day. So there's a lot of incidents. So I'm just going to go down the line. There's going to be some that I've left out that maybe you've heard of. There's just not enough time.
Okay, bring it on.
November 13th, 2006, he was arrested in LAX after a stolen gun was found in his briefcase. He went through TSA with a briefcase with a stolen gun in it. He was arrested, obviously. Airport police officer Belinda Nettles said an unknown object popped up on the X-ray monitor, and a search of his briefcase turned up an unloaded gun that was found to have been stolen. And he was taken in by city police and booked for the illegal possession of a firearm. What's funny is I was a TSA officer at one point. I don't know if they still do, but they used to, where the X-ray that you put your bags through, it'll like pop up a gun out of nowhere, and you have to hit a button in a certain amount of time to see if it's real or not. They're testing you. I can just imagine that person be like, oh, it's a tip. And then they hit it and they're like, oh, fuck, why isn't that going away? It's an actual gun.
It's a real gun.
In December, he pled no contest to a misdemeanor count of carrying a concealed firearm and was sentenced to 3 years probation and was ordered to pay restitution and was given credit for the 3 days that he spent in jail. So I don't know how people fucking walk through a TSA checkpoint with a gun in their bag and just forget. Like water bottles, fine.
Yeah, but no, that shit happens quite a bit.
It does.
Even now, it's some scary shit.
Yeah.
For anyone interested, if you ever want to know, and I'm sure plenty of you, because again, Lisa worked TSA for years, and TSA workers don't get enough credit for what they do. A lot of people feel that it's not necessary, but if you're one of those people listening that feels TSA is not necessary, you should actually follow their social media page. Yes, they have social media page.
Yeah, they show you everything that they find.
They show you all the contraband shit that they find in a day. And it's really, you need to thank your TSA workers. That's all I'm going to say on that.
I remember there was this beautiful woman. She came through and she was dressed to the nines. I go to an airport in my practical fucking pajamas. We're all lucky if I even put makeup on. And this woman was beautiful. All the guys in the checkpoint were like breaking their necks to look at her. And come to find out, like an hour later, she's being escorted out by the police because the bag that she checked was full of boxes of what would have been Tide powder detergent.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't Tide, it was pot. The whole suitcase. It was like 35 pounds of pot inside this suitcase. And she was just like a beautiful distraction. Look at this pretty thing over here and don't notice this thing over here. People are fucking nuts. So back to Katt Williams. Williams was arrested by police while working on a film in Georgia in November of 2010. He was accused of breaking into a rural Georgia home with a crowbar. Now, just imagine Katt Williams running around with a fucking crowbar in the middle of a prairie. The house was on a horse farm in West Georgia, and it was owned by a record producer named Barry Hankerson. And according to the police report for the incident, Williams was a guest at the home and had been living there for nearly a month while filming a movie produced by Hankerson. But Katt Williams was accused of stealing $3,500 worth of coins and jewelry. What the fuck are you going to do with that? He was released the following day on a $40,000 bond. Police later charged him with burglary and criminal trespassing. And his lawyer must be a millionaire because he's probably had to comment and cover his ass for all these things. And he said that we absolutely deny involvement in any theft. And Mr. Williams wears more than the jewelry that was stolen on his person every day.
I'm sure Katt Williams told that motherfucker to say that too, because that sounds like something he would say.
And he says that Williams had gotten into an argument with an employee at the farm, which prompted the burglar report. So he's saying that this guy was kind of trying to get retribution on him. Barry Hankerson spoke with investigators and assured them that Williams did have permission to stay there indefinitely in the home that he was accused of burglarizing. And it's so funny, if you look up his mugshot, he looks like an insane. He's got a big ass smile on the whole time. He's like,
I remember that one. And he was holding up the sign. He's like, like, man, I was like, he must be on meth or something.
His hair looks like Krusty the Clown. It's all crazy and all over the place.
Yeah.
So fast forward. That was 2010. We're going to go to June 11th, 2011. Williams is arrested again in connection with an alleged assault on a tractor driver.
I don't mean to laugh. And it's just the randomness that I'm laughing.
Dude, it's just, you can't make this shit up. Yeah.
It's the randomness. Yeah.
The alleged victim said 3 women approached his tractor at 4:30 and attacked him with rocks and clods of dirt, causing him facial injuries. They were throwing dirt and rocks at this man. And Williams and 3 women were staying at the house where the man was doing the tractor work. He was probably just bushwhacking some large piece of property on his tractor. Bushwhacking, right. I don't know if you know what that is. I live in the South now. It's when you take a big old tractor and you just you let the grass grow too high for a lawnmower, and then you just drag the shit out of it and cut it all in one shot.
Yeah.
So the injured worker called his wife to come pick him up because he was like, fuck, I'm getting assaulted with pieces of dirt. So the women were throwing the dirt. For argument's sake, I just want to be clear, not Katt Williams. What Katt Williams did do was when the man tried to leave, he blocked the car from getting out with his own car. And that man called 911 because him and his wife are now stuck on this property with Katt Williams blocking the way and a bunch of women who just tried to assault him. So he calls 911. The LA Sheriff's Department shows up. And they arrest the 3 women for assault with a deadly weapon, which is that's charge. Bunch of fucking, I guess the rocks, but I don't know what the dirt was going to do.
Guess, but yeah.
And Williams was arrested for felony intimidation of a witness and charged with false imprisonment.
Jeez.
He was booked into jail and released the same night on $50,000 bail. So this fucker just goes to jail for a night, couple hours, pays a shit ton of money, and he walks out. And that's the common theme through this entire story. It's insane. November 15th, 2012, he's arrested again in Oakland, California on charges of suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon for allegedly beating an 18-year-old man with a bottle aboard his tour bus.
Oh.
Williams' tour bus was parked outside of the Oakland Marriott when he allegedly got into this scuffle. The 18-year-old Berkeley man claims that William hit him in the head with a bottle on the bus, and police tracked Williams down several hours later and took him into custody. The following night, Williams was scheduled to perform at the Oracle Arena, and he completely lost it. He confronted a heckler. He took off his own clothes, and he attempted to fight at least 3 audience members before his act abruptly ended after just 10 minutes.
I remember that. I was like, damn. Yeah, that's basically when he hit like rock bottom.
Yeah. What's amazing about all of this is that it's in the day of cell phones. So there's video footage of all this shit. He's like a cartoon character with his fists all the way out here, lost his goddamn mind. So he was escorted off stage by security. And you could Google these videos. They're ridiculous. A fan who attended Williams' performance at the Oracle Arena filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of those in attendance against the performer and his promoter with the Alameda County Superior Court. Brian Herline of Modesto filed the suit against Williams and Live Nation on November 21st, claiming that Williams didn't perform. So all these people came, paid money for all these tickets, and he fucking cracked up and was escorted out of his own show.
Yep. So he owes those people now and Live Nation.
So the suit seeks to compensate himself and all the others who paid money for the show and got nothing but Katt Williams' non-performance. 5 days later, November 25th, 2012, Williams led the police. This is 5 days. Okay. This is like a downward spiral. 5 days later, he leads the police on a chase through the streets of Sacramento, where he allegedly drove a 3-wheeled motorcycle, like a trike, on the sidewalk and almost ran over 5 pedestrians. And he refused to stop. The resulting chase had to be halted due to safety concerns. So they just backed off and issued a bench warrant because they couldn't safely catch him.
Right. Without hurting other people. Collateral damage. Yeah. No.
Yep. So they just let him go. Williams drove that trike to a Target where he was caught on camera slapping a Target employee in the face.
Oh my gosh.
And this poor dude. I mean, it was a dude. You see the video. And you see Katt Williams like walk up to him and he's standing behind a counter. And I don't know if he was off duty or what. He was like, had his like khakis, his Target khakis on, but he was wearing like a black hoodie. And you see Katt Williams like step back and he's talking shit. And he steps back, he's talking shit, and he steps back. And then he just like, blam, smacks him and steps back. Wow. It's like, oh my God. And the slap isn't the most bizarre part of the whole public meltdown that he had that day. Because following that slap, he hangs around for a little while in the Target. And then, before making his getaway, he escapes in one of those little electric carts with the basket on the front. And he drives that little cart out to the parking lot. He gets back on his trike and he leaves before the police arrive.
Ridiculous.
Picture Katt Williams on a fucking electric cart, be like, Bobbage, driving through the Target.
And he's a little guy too, so that makes it even funnier that he's on the strike.
Yeah, he's like the size of me. Yeah. Dude. The little cart that the old ladies sit in, I'm dead. I can't handle it. So he was not arrested for that incident. Oddly enough, it was in Yolo County, which I found to be ironically hilarious. And the case was under review, but he would eventually be charged and arraigned on battery charges for smacking that kid. December 2nd, 2012, he's arrested again in Seattle after he allegedly got into a dispute at a bar in South Lake Union. His arrest came after his no-show, November 29th, 2012, was the first night of a planned 2-night engagement at the Paramount Theater. So he just didn't fucking show up to the first night. Could you imagine being the audience members?
Traveling all that way. And then you get there, it's just sitting there like, where's Katt Williams? Oh, he's not performing? What the fuck? I want my money back. Yeah.
Right. So December 28th, 2012, just 25 days later, he's arrested again.
Damn.
This time in LA on child endangerment charges. What I didn't know is, do you know that this man is a father of 7 children?
No.
6 of them are adopted.
No, what? No, I didn't know any of that. No.
I was like, what the fuck? And his son, who is, you know, an adult now, is like some kind of thriving fashion designer in LA.
Oh, wow.
But just a random fun fact.
That's very random. Because I think I knew he had a kid, but I didn't know that he had 7 total. 6 were adopted. Interesting. And now we're talking about child endangerment charges.
Correct. So he was held in lieu of $100,000 bail. and his 4 children, I guess he only had 4 at the time, were placed in protective custody. And it is unknown who or how Child Services and the police were contacted, but the charges stemmed from illegal drugs and illegal weapons, stolen weapons, being found in the home with the children present. Okay. And in an interview, someone was like, well, how do you think it's safe to have guns in a house with kids? And his response was like, how do you keep kids safe without guns? And if you've lost count, that's a total of 6 arrests in 6 years, 3 of which were in just 2 months. Plus CPS and a police chase on a trike and a slap and target heard around the world.
And the fact that he didn't get arrested for that. The slap.
Tick, tick. Yeah. This bomb is counting down. So January 8th, 2013, he's arrested again at his home in LA after failing to appear in court for the shit that went down in Sacramento in November with him driving the bike and the police chase. And then he goes quiet for just over a year. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. He wasn't in jail. I'm guessing someone just told him to keep his ass at home. Like, you need to fucking take a time out and get your shit together.
Yeah, they were like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So, October 29th, 2014, William and Suge Knight were arrested for the theft of a camera of a female photographer in Beverly Hills. They chased this woman down an alleyway and robbed her. That is some scary shit.
Suge Knight chased somebody? He's a big dude, too.
Suge Knight. Both Knight and Williams were charged with robbery. And in April 2017, Williams pled no contest to the charge and was ordered to undertake a year of anger management charges, as well as receiving 3 years of probation again. Again, no real consequence besides like the money he fucking spent on his bail. You know, like it's
exactly.
I was going to do the math and try and count up how much money he actually spent in bail, but it's exorbitant. I mean, Suge Knight's another one. We'll get to him one day.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll be covering that.
Lots of crimes and possible murder, but that's for another episode. The difference is that Katt Williams just doesn't give a fuck, right? I mean, a lot of the things that we've talked about in some of these demises have been like based in mental health. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see that necessarily being the case here. Something must have been going on that's not diagnosed or very prevalent, but
right.
He is a violent person. He's just small and not very scary. Suge Knight, on the other hand, is actually like a scary fucking beast of a man, and I cannot imagine that man chasing you down any dark alleyway, and it's nightmare inducing.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, he's a big / heavy dude now. I get to see that him chasing somebody.
And you know, he doesn't give a fuck like he'll kill you.
Yeah.
Katt Williams doesn't give a fuck like he'll bitch slap you in a Target. So February 29, 2016, Katt Williams is approached by a group of women asking him for a photo. And he did it, but all of a sudden he became irate and allegedly punched a woman.
Oh my God.
And then he pointed a gun at a woman and took her cell phone. And he told the police the women were harassing him and filming him without his consent. And he was handcuffed by the police, but he was never charged. Let him go that night. Yeah, could you imagine getting punched in the face by Katt Williams? He points a gun at you, says,
and then he pointed
a gun.
Exactly. And then he pointed a gun at you, yelling, talking about, give me the cell phone.
Fuck, man.
I'm just picturing all of it, and I hear his voice in my head.
Let him go? That's crazy. February 29th. This is gets a little crazier from here. He's arrested in Gainesville, Georgia, when a clerk at a swimming pool store said Williams hit him. He just walked around slapping people in fucking stores. And when they walked in, Katt Williams was lying face down on the ground with his hands behind his back. And in one of his stand-ups, he said that he's been arrested so many times, his body just assumes a position and he throws himself on the floor.
Of course, wow.
In exactly the same way that it was just described. The stand-up is very funny. It's very sad to see it in real life, but apparently it's true. Williams told police that he had to do what he had to do because the pool store employee used the N-word. So I don't have any more information on that. Totally possible. Probably warranted. If he did use the N-word, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You deserve to be slapped.
We'll never know.
We will never know.
Yeah.
1 week later, he was accused of threatening to kill his bodyguard, Corey Dixon. He was threatening to kill him because he would not engage in the criminal acts that Williams was directing him to. and he was charged with aiding and abetting an aggravated assault. And his female acquaintances were also charged. So this was a whole scenario where, I mean, he's got to have some balls to get up in his bodyguard's face. I imagine this is a big dude. And he's so small. He's such a small man. So March 23rd, 2016, a video goes viral of Williams getting into a fight with a 17-year-old boy.
Which year was this? Whoa, I'm sorry.
2016.
2016. And it was how old? How old was the boy you said?
Kid was 17 years old.
Damn. Okay.
It was a dispute during a soccer game in Georgia. He was there to give back to the community, and it ended up having words with a fucking teenager and then throwing the first punch. That kid is a lot bigger than him and took him down and put his ass in a fucking headlock. You just see him being like choked out on the floor. He later used the incident in his stand-up, saying that guy was 27 years old in the 7th grade and that they were the same height and that they smoked some cigs later and had a drink. But he was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. How are you going to hit a 17-year-old kid? This is what I mean. Like, his first reaction is always go to hands.
Yeah.
He always is laying his hands on people. And he does it there's no hesitation, I guess is what I'm getting at. Okay, so that was what month? Let's see, March. 1 month later, April 27th, 2016, he is arrested in Atlanta, Georgia, and charged with battery after allegedly throwing a salt shaker at a manager at a Spondivits, which is a local restaurant.
Oh, my goodness.
He hit that manager in the mouth with the salt shaker and caused him to bleed.
Damn.
The Williams group was denied preferential seating, and he was later arrested and booked on battery. So he went in, he was like, "What up, bitch? I'm Katt Williams. Can you give us special seats?" And the guy was like, "No." So he picked up a salt shaker and launched it at that man's face.
That's crazy. And I'm assuming this was like a heavy glass one or something. It's making it bleed. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
He was arrested July 24th, 2016 on suspicion of battery. Again, after an altercation with a woman in a sportsman lodge, which is a hotel in Sherman Oaks. I don't have any real information on that one. But we're just going to keep it moving because we're only in 2016.
Oh, my gosh.
September 15, 2016. Williams was arrested in Fulton County, Georgia on a charge of second-degree criminal damage to property after having turned himself in on a warrant for failing to appear in court for the April incident. Which was which one? The kid.
The
new arrest involved a February 28, 2016 allegation that the comedian had thrown a man's cell phone. Yes. Someone was filming him again. He snatched a phone and launched it. October 6, 2018. So we have skipped 1 year. Almost 2 years.
So much money wasted in his bail and litigation. I can't even.
So much. All of his money. I mean, he's still worth $10 million. I looked it up. So I was like,
oh, damn. Okay.
How the fuck? all you do is spend money on staying out of jail. He's arrested in Portland, Oregon on a charge of assault in the 4th degree after he assaulted a town car driver during an argument about his dog. It's just so asinine. Williams went to put his very large and aggressive German Shepherd in the front seat of this town car. And the guy was like, "No, thank you." So he got into a fist fight with him. And he additionally was arrested for an outstanding warrant from Georgia when he was arrested in Portland. 2019, he gets into a fight with radio host Wanda Smith. Do you know about this?
Wanda Smith? No, I'm not too familiar with that incident.
Okay, so he appeared on the Frank Ski and Wanda show where he and Smith found themselves in a heated roast. Williams stated tensions from the contentious back and forth boiled over when he and Smith's husband later had their own exchange of words in a comedy club parking lot. Williams claimed Lamorris pointed a gun at him, though he would later change his story. Surveillance footage and Lamorris confirmed that he had a gun, but whether or not it was ever pointed at Williams is unclear. Katt Williams sounded off after the Will Smith slap heard around the world, saying that this particular incident was an example of how comedians should be better protected.
That's what Katt Williams said.
Right.
Okay.
So he's saying that he went back and forth with this guy's wife, roasting her, and he felt that his actions and how he handled this situation by recanting his story and saying there was no gun and not snitching on him further allowed this Will Smith Chris Rock slap where a comedian is being physically assaulted or taking consequence on the things that they're saying. So he said, so now a comedian is somehow being deemed as deserving of it, or, oh, well, you said such and such, so that equals this assault.
Right.
What he said is, but we don't have any words or a collection of words that equal violence. I don't agree with that statement. I think it's a fucking cop-out.
I mean, for Katt Williams' circumstance, I think it's a cop-out.
I'm not sounding off on the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing. I just mean in general. Individuals need to be held accountable for the things that they say, whether your job is to make fun of people or not. There is a line in life. Period. You and I see this Will Smith thing a little bit differently.
We do. I feel like the time is going to come.
You want to hash it out?
Not right this second, but yeah, I feel like if the demand is high and people that are listening request that of us, at some point, I feel like we will have to have just a special segment where we're going at it.
I mean, we can do that as an episode. It falls in line. It's fucking assault.
It is assault for sure.
We'll add it to the list, and one day y'all will hear me and Justin disagree. We don't disagree on many things.
For real, but that one we will probably disagree on.
That next morning, we text each other like,
yes, we
are
did.
You fucking serious? And we both meant, are you fucking serious for different reasons?
For different reasons entirely. I was like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, not expecting it. Yeah, perfect.
But no, Katt Williams, him using that though was the cop out, because again, in Katt Williams' situation, just the past history of like the past 8 instances that you've named, like Katt Williams is the instigator. Katt Williams is initiating shit. It's not even about the roast at that point. You probably went up to that dude in the parking lot and tried to say some slick shit or potentially hit him, and he had a gun. So that has nothing to do with like, the harshness of me being a comedian and using my words. No, Katt.
He's just trying to insert himself in the scenario.
He's trying to make himself relevant towards that. Yep. That's different. Yeah.
So there have been no further run-ins with the law, as Justin likes to say. Truly, he couldn't get in any trouble because COVID happened. So he was stuck in his house for 2 years like everyone else. But he is scheduled to go out on tour in the next year. So I'm sure that if he's out of his fucking house and in the public, he will undoubtedly do some stupid shit and be arrested again.
Well, we'll see what happens, because that's another thing. I did think the first few years when he started doing all this crazy shit, I was like, clearly he's undiagnosed or something, or he's dealing with drugs. I don't know. And I feel like maybe the police to an extent know that too. That's why they keep letting him go with certain instances. But I will say this time round, he seems a little more mellow. Even before the stand-up, he started acting again.
Yeah.
Back in season 2 of Atlanta. He was only in one episode playing like Donald Glover's uncle, but it was a really, really good fucking role. And I was like, man, I haven't seen Katt Williams play anything serious and I don't think ever. And his whole demeanor changed. It seemed to be something different. So I don't know if he got the help that he needed or if it was drug related. He came clean, but
man, I hope you're right.
I am looking forward to seeing what he's going to try to do now. Again, that stand up for me, it was a little dated. I felt like Katt Williams was using material from like 2007 in this new Netflix special. Or
what would have been funnier in 2007.
Exactly.
In today's climate, it's really not that funny. It's just like everything's so fucked that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things he says in that new stand-up is like, the entire world now is so insane that you can't even joke about it. You can't make it up. It's all just real life insanity. But
we'll see. He could just be a hothead because, he did all those things.
Could be. He definitely is a hothead.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's more so a hothead thing. It might not even be relative to drugs or whatever. But also, when he first started to get famous in his stand-up, there was another person within the early 2000s that was, some people compared one another. There was definitely a rivalry, and Katt Williams hated this fucking guy, Mike Epps. I loved Mike Epps.
I like Mike Epps.
Katt Williams actually hates this dude. Anytime they talk about it, Katt Williams starts talking very violently about this guy, and it just goes back to my point. Like I want to see what Katt Williams is gonna do. He's coming back now. Can he behave? Mike Epps is also trying to make a comeback. His Netflix special wasn't that good, but he's on something else now.
I hope Katt Williams takes a turn and steers himself right into some really cool acting stuff. Your comedy's a little crispy at this point.
Yeah.
What else you got? Show us your chops. So I just need to point out that he was released on bail every single time he was arrested. He has not done more than just a couple of days in jail.
Damn. Money.
Yeah. He's been questioned for many incidents that include shoplifting at a Best Buy, pulling out an unloaded firearm in a Walmart. And again, nothing ever came of all those crazy ass scenarios either. He'd been arrested so many times and hasn't gotten anything more than 3 days of probation and 3 straight days in jail. It's crazy. So Katt Williams' World War II came out on Netflix this year. I watched it. It was okay.
Yeah, it was all right.
He's not the Katt Williams of 10 years ago, but he's trying. The thing for me is, like I said, I don't see any obvious mental health issues. It's not like he's just like finding himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. He does have this no fucks given ability to be violent, and he doesn't really care about anything. I hope things have changed for him now. Like we're saying that I hope he makes some turnaround.
Exactly.
But in his past, he has proven that his $10 million makes him feel untouchable. And essentially, that's proven to be true. Surprise us all, Katt Williams. Show us what you got, man. I hope that you do not go back on a tour bus and beat the fuck out of people with your hands or bottles or cars.
Or riding around in Target. Yeah, don't
go to Target or Walmart or Best Buy. So that is the story of the Kattpocalypse.
Kattpocalypse. Okay.
Sorry about you, Katt Williams. But you've done too many crazy things. He talks in one of those that interviewed Wanda Smith about how he's been arrested over 30 times.
Yeah, that shit's not cool.
And think about all the times I mentioned that he wasn't arrested. Like he just fucking constantly is talking to the police.
When you look back at the history of the creative arts, it takes a lot of darkness to create the light the arts bring to the world.
Thanks for joining us this week. And if you enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and go over to Apple Podcasts to rate and review.
Please check out our sources listed in the episode notes. They're amazing.
And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Crime of the Arts Podcast.
We're looking forward to having you back next week. Until next time, peace out, everybody.
Peace out, everybody.